Wellness Rhythm Show. Find your rhythm. Live your wellness.
Y'all, let me tell you something embarrassing. Last Tuesday, I was standing in my kitchen at 10:47 p.m., eating cold leftover pasta straight from the container, telling myself it was fine because I had a stressful day. And then I read this study and I thought, oh no.
Right, so here's what got me. A 2024 study published in Nature Aging found that time-restricted eating, specifically compressing your meals into a consistent daily window, may actually slow cognitive decline. Not just help your waistline, your brain.
Your brain, David. We are talking about memory, focus, and actually remembering where you put your keys, which, for those of us in our late 30s and 40s, feels extremely urgent.
And for our listeners who are a bit further along, the 50s, 60s, and beyond, the research here is genuinely promising. Today we are unpacking the science connecting eating windows to brain health and separating what's real from what's hype.
So let's start with the basics. Time-restricted eating, or TRE for short, is essentially about when you eat, not necessarily what you eat. You pick a window, say 8 or 10 hours, and that's when all your meals happen.
Exactly. And it's worth distinguishing it from intermittent fasting broadly. TRE is specifically about daily timing consistency. The most studied window in the cognitive health research tends to be 6 to 10 hours, aligned with daylight hours.
Which honestly is not as extreme as it sounds. If you eat breakfast at 8 a.m. and finish dinner by 6 p.m., that's a 10-hour window. A lot of people are closer to that than they realize.
Right. Here's what I've learned from looking at this. The mechanism that keeps coming up is something called autophagy. It's the brain's cellular cleanup process. When you're not eating, the body and the brain starts clearing out damaged proteins and cellular debris.
Okay, so can you translate that? Because cellular debris sounds like something from a sci-fi film.
Fair point. Think of it like your brain running a deep clean cycle on a dishwasher. During the fasted state, it clears out waste that otherwise accumulates. And that accumulation of damaged proteins, specifically amyloid plaques, is associated with Alzheimer's disease.
That is not a small thing.
No, it really isn't. Dr. Mark Mattson, who is a neuroscientist at the National Institute on Aging, spent decades researching this. His work suggests that metabolic switching, the shift from glucose to ketones during a fast, may be neuroprotective.
So the brain actually runs differently when you're in that fasted state?
It does. Ketones appear to be a more efficient fuel source for neurons. Mattson published a widely cited review in the New England Journal of Medicine in 2019, making exactly that case.
Here's the thing, though. I want to make sure we're not overselling this. Because I know our listeners are savvy, and eat in a window and prevent Alzheimer's sounds like a headline that's too good to be true.
That's a completely fair challenge. Most of the robust human trials are still relatively short-term. A lot of the foundational work was done in animal models. We should be honest about that ceiling.
And yet the signals are consistent enough that researchers are paying attention.
Consistently, yes. The calorie trial from Duke University, which looked at caloric restriction and longevity markers, showed improvements in biomarkers linked to cognitive health. And a 2023 trial out of the University of California, San Diego, published in Cell Metabolism, followed adults over 65 and found that a 10-hour eating window improved sleep, energy, and cognitive function measures after just 3 months.
3 months. That's actually a realistic timeline for someone to try something and feel a difference.
Which brings us to the practical question. And I want to say, if anyone is finding this episode genuinely useful, please do hit like and subscribe. It genuinely helps us reach more people who could use an informed friend in their corner.
Yes, please do that. Okay, so let's talk real-life application. Because I think there's a huge difference between the research participant who has a controlled schedule and, say, a sandwich generation listener who's feeding kids, checking in on aging parents, and answering emails at all hours.
Right. So the research on timing is interesting. Studies suggest that earlier eating windows, aligned with morning and midday, produce stronger metabolic and cognitive benefits than later windows. This is connected to circadian biology, our internal clock.
Which means the 10 p.m. pasta situation I described at the top of this episode was, scientifically speaking, a double problem.
Diplomatically put, yes. Late eating disrupts circadian rhythms, which independently affects sleep quality. And poor sleep is itself one of the strongest modifiable risk factors for cognitive decline, according to the Alzheimer's Association.
So it's all connected. Sleep, eating timing, brain health. You can't really pull one thread without pulling the others.
That's exactly right. And this is where the research gets genuinely exciting for our pre-retiree and older listeners. A study from the Salk Institute found that TRE improved memory and reduced amyloid accumulation in mouse models of Alzheimer's. Human trials are catching up.
Let me bring in the skeptics corner here, though, because I can already hear someone saying, I have diabetes, or I take medication with food, or I'm 68 and my doctor has never mentioned any of this.
Critically important point. Time-restricted eating is not a one-size-fits-all intervention. People managing blood sugar conditions, anyone on medications timed to meals, pregnant women, people with a history of disordered eating, these are all groups where a conversation with a healthcare provider is genuinely necessary before changing eating patterns.
And honestly, even for people who are generally healthy, the best eating window is one you can actually maintain consistently. A perfect 6-hour window you abandon in 2 weeks does nothing.
Consistency is the key variable. The UC San Diego trial emphasized that. It was the regularity of the window, day after day, that drove the results, not perfection on any single day.
So if your window shifts by an hour on weekends, that's fine.
The researchers suggested keeping variation within 1 to 2 hours. Life happens. The goal is a general rhythm, not a rigid rule.
Y'all, I actually started a loose 10-hour window about 6 weeks ago. Nothing dramatic. I just moved my first coffee with actual food to 7:30 a.m., and I try to finish eating by 5:30 or 6 p.m., and my sleep is measurably better.
That tracks. And better sleep is itself a cognitive health intervention. You're essentially getting 2 benefits from one behavioral change.
Which is the kind of efficiency that I know speaks directly to you, David.
It does, genuinely. Right, let's also acknowledge the social dimension. Dinner parties, family meals, travel. Life does not always cooperate with a 10-hour window.
Which is why I think of it as a default, not a law. Most days I aim for the window. Some days a birthday cake at 9 p.m. happens, and that's also fine.
Right. So the one most practical takeaway from today. Pick a realistic eating window, ideally 10 hours or less, and try to start it earlier in the day rather than later. Do it consistently, most days, for at least 8 to 12 weeks. That's what the evidence supports.
And if you're in your 40s, 50s, or beyond and thinking about protecting your brain long-term, this is one of the lowest barrier evidence-backed tools we have right now. No supplements, no expensive equipment, just a consistent rhythm with your meals.
The science is still developing, to be clear, but the direction of evidence is encouraging. And the downside risk of trying a sensible eating window is essentially 0 for most healthy adults.
Y'all, that is the kind of wellness that actually fits into a real life. We will link the studies we mentioned, including the cell metabolism trial and Dr. Matson's New England Journal review, in the show notes. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe wherever you listen.
We will be back next week. Until then, eat at a reasonable hour.
And maybe not cold pasta at 11 p.m. Learned that one the hard way. This show is part of the VoxCrea.AI system. If you want a show like this for your organization without building it yourself,
go to VoxCrea.AI and request a sample episode.